So, hello everyone, thank you for being here. We're gonna get started right now. It's 2 p.m. sharp, not really sharp, it's 2 p.m. in 1 minute. This talk is gonna be about PMM. Probably heard about PMM a lot. And one of the reasons we are talking about PMM a lot is because if you have PMM, you can help us a lot to fix your problems, you know? Like, we've seen a lot of customers and a lot of candidates to be a customer, if I can say so. They have a lot of problems and they don't have any monitoring system. And the idea here is to show how PMM can be useful for MongoDB. So I'm a MongoDB guy and I'm going to be talking about MongoDB. Douglas, my friend, my colleague here, he works with consulting. So he goes to the client, he goes to the on-site and he sees a lot of weird stuff sometimes. So I'll pass the microphone to Doug to present himself, and then I'm going to present myself. Well, let's do better. I'm going to present myself. I'm going to skip Doug and start with me, right? Because it's just easy. My name is Adamo Tonete, and I've been working Percona for almost 4 years now. I have 10 years experience. I started with relational database, and today I'm working mainly with MongoDB at Percona. And Doug?
Hi, all. My name's Doug, and I've been, like Adamo, started out in the relational world about 8 years ago or so, switched over to MongoDB, Cassandra, all the newer NoSQL databases. I still keep my hands inside of relational world, as I'm sure most of you guys do as well. I've worked with MongoDB since the 1.8 days. I've passed the MongoDB master when they had that program running. They've kind of cut that out. And I also worked a couple years with MongoDB on the university, online university as a TA. So I've done a lot with Mongo. And the agenda is, Adamo stated, we're going to show you what PMM is, show you how it works, what the dashboards look like, and then we'll talk about the query analytics inside of Mongo, or inside of PMM that we can grab off that, alerting, and what we've got coming up in the new PMM 2 beta release that we just announced as GA today. And then we'll go through a couple hands-on demos to show you the actual capability of the tool itself. So I will let Adamo speak.
Yes, so like I mentioned, what is PMM? PMM is the Percona Monitoring and Management, right? So this is a product for Percona. It has a lot of competitors out there, right? But I want to talk about the advantages you can get with PMM, right? I'm not telling that the other monitoring tools are like terrible, but they usually are paid and you're sending your data outside of your company, right? So I just want to point out the good parts of PMM. I'm going to mention some limitations in PMM 2, and Doug is going to talk about like how we outcome the limitations in PMM 2. Sorry, PMM 1 has limitations that is not available, is not in PMM 2. So basically, it's an open source monitoring system. It's based on Grafana, so we have Grafana behind that. We can monitor PostgreSQL, MySQL, MongoDB, Postgres, and the operation system. So how many of you here are using monitoring system in your environment right now? Almost everyone, right? Because like everyone wants to know what is happening with the database. How many times we had like problems that we could not explain what is happening, and with graphs, with some metrics, we could monitor, we could figure out the problem, right? So the idea of having a monitoring system monitoring your environment right now is to go back in time and see how the database was behaving, to see how how the system was behaving at that time, right? And the difference for MongoDB is that this monitoring system runs on-premise, right? So you're not sending your data over the network to any company abroad, or you better know what the company is. And it's very easy to set up our PMM as well. So this is the PMM architecture. So we have two kinds of data being moving to the PMM stack, right? Let me use this. We have some pull and some push data being moving through the system, right? So we have two different subsystems. This is the query analytics, right? I'm sorry, I completely forgot the word, sorry. It records all these low queries that you have in your system. and it processes in the query analytics system, right? So, and it sends to the PMM page. We have the metrics monitor. They are exporter, right? The exporters are sending data to Prometheus. We have some pull replication that happens in the MySQL queries and MongoDB queries, and some pull replication here and some push replication here. We have a node exporter, which is basically running in MongoDB. I'm going to focus on MongoDB right now. It's basically running MongoStat in your database and recording all the data in the Prometheus. And this data is being showed in Grafana dashboard, right? So how many of you here use the server status to monitor your system? Okay, yeah, this is exactly the same idea. If you have time and patience, you can create a whole PMM or a monitoring system just scripting the parser of RS status, right? And you can put this in, I don't know, Amazon CloudWatch, for example. You know, you can get the data and put there. So this is how easy it is to install. I'm going to show how to install this in like 1 minute. We can have PMM running in production, right? So I took a screenshot because I was not aware, I'm not 100% sure that the internet will be working here. So, but I'm going to demonstrate this at the end. Yeah, this is how to configure the client, but I'm going to show this in live in production. And it's important to mention that we only don't have MongoDB, PMM running as Docker. We have an Amazon image or a VirtualBox image as well if you want to use, right? So you are not tied with just a Docker. And those are the most common dashboards we have. So again, I took some screenshots, but I'm going to explain them in details a few minutes from here. So. Those are the dashboards, the main dashboards we have available. The cluster summary, if you are running a shard in memory, which is available in Percona server for MongoDB and MongoDB Enterprise. MMApp that is going away in the next release because MMApp is no longer supported by MongoDB. So they will deprecate that in the next version, which is going to be in 2 or 3 weeks in MongoDB World, right? MongoDB overview, it's basically overview about everything that is happening with your MongoDB, memory consumption, operations per second and stuff. This is for replica sets. It's going to give us details about the uplog size, replication lag, and all the other stuff that may be interesting, like elections and other stuff. RocksDB, it was being discontinued by Percona because it's not compatible with transactions, right, in the new versions, and this is one of the reasons why RocksDB was removed from our packages. And White Tiger, which is the full storage engine for MongoDB right now. I'm going to show this in live, but the idea is to tell you, like you can get most of the information you need from MongoDB, from replica set. Like I said, like the uplog recovery window. So if this uplog is too low, you don't have uplog window enough to start another replica set, like you can go out of uplog, for example. But let me show this in live production. White Tiger, again, the amount of transactions we are having inside of White Tiger, I'm not sure if you guys know, but every single find and update is considering a transaction in White Tiger, right? So it's very normal to see these transactions very high. It's not like the begin transactions that it was added, but White Tiger always was a storage engine that supports transactions, right? Memory available, that's important as well, because I don't know, by default, the amount of memory that White Tiger is going to use is 50% plus 1 gigabyte, right? But if you have like a 2, 5, 6 gigabytes machine, you're not going to use only 50%, right? This is going to help you to have an idea of the overall memory available. We have some trend analytics. My colleague Doug will explain a little bit more, a little bit better, how to create that, because this doesn't come with PMM. And the idea here is like, because PMM is open source, you can pretty much change the way you want, right? So we can save the dashboards. This is basically a JSON file, right? And you can keep those dashboards even if we remove from our version, right? The data is still being sent to the Prometheus, and you could be able to create some trend analysis like this one. Right now, I'm going to demonstrate how easy it is to install the PMM, right? So I'm going to plug my computer. That's going to be hard with just one hand, but by the way, I have my Docker running, right? I don't want you guys seeing me running Docker. I have Docker. Is it? Oh, it's too small. Is it better? Okay. So I have my Docker running. I'm going to start with creating my data path, right? So this is a disk that is going to be created to run PMM. Hopefully that's going to work. Okay, this is where my data is, right? If I need to take a backup, I'm going to take a backup of this container, the container called data, right? It's called PMM data. If I run here, docker ps -a, so I have my PMM data. It's a container. There's nothing happening here. It's just the data path, right? And with Docker run, I'll have my Docker running, hopefully, here. Okay, so I have my Docker running, and I should be able to check my Grafana running, right? So Docker is running already. It's very easy to set up. Of course, I've set up my my PMM beforehand, but it took me like 7 to 10 minutes to set up, right? Doug will go through all the dashboards. I'm going to only focus on MongoDB, but as you see, I don't have any MongoDB being monitored right now, right? So there's no information. And the command to start monitoring MongoDB is very straightforward. First, I need to configure my PM client, right? Because we have the server running, and also we have the client. Every single machine that is going to send data to PMM have to have this PMM admin configured, right? So apt-get install PMM client, right? So I'm configuring to use localhost. It's going to complain because I don't have the sudo, but I'm going to add sudo if my internet allows me. Just a second. Sudo. I'm waiting for the internet. Just a second. You know, this is why I took the screenshots before. Okay, unable to connect. Just a second. It's going to become a live troubleshooting as well. I'll give him just a second. Was only complaining because of the port, but that's fine. Sudo PMM admin add MongoDB. I have MongoDB running here, and this is how easy it is to start. It was supposed to be as easy how to start. Give me just a sec. Sudo. It's not working.
This is why we don't do live coding examples in conferences.
Okay.
So it's up.
Yeah, it's up, but the internet is not helping me. No. don't trust the internet, you know. But we're gonna have Mongo being monitored here after almost 10 minutes, right? But the idea was to have this in 3 minutes running, yeah, right? So we're gonna start seeing some data coming up here. So it takes like a few seconds to start seeing the data, right? So the full monitoring is 12 hours. If we change to 5 minutes, we can see the data itself already. We're not going to go into details about this. But I want to just demonstrate how easy it is to monitor, right? So the database, if your internet allows you to do that, we can go here to the overview, for example, and that will give a lot of information about the database. Will? Yes, it will. Right. Doug will proceed with PMM2. Right. The idea is to show how easy it can be to monitor, and you can set thresholds. You can also configure alerting in PMM, and Doug is going to go through this right now.
Okay, so one of the nice things about PMM, as Adamo showed you, we can get graphs on all your Mongo stats and stuff like that. We've got a fair number of stuff that we put in by default. We can add anything coming out of DB server stats that we want. The other thing is, with Profiler, we can go through and give you information on your slow queries. So if you enable profiling in MongoDB, we can actually start showing that inside of PMM itself. So that is something you do have to turn on. Obviously, we're not going to turn that on for you. Profiling does have a little bit of overhead as it's writing all that information to both the logs and the system.profile collection. So what I want to do, this is just a quick screenshot. I will switch over to a presentation, show you actually what this all looks like. Having a whole bunch of slides of pictures doesn't help you out. It's not all that exciting. So if I switch over to my window here, and give me a second. So as we go into the query analyzer, what we've got here, and has anybody used PMM in the past? You got one, couple. So in the past, with the current version of PMM, we would show you just a single server information, which was fine, but it doesn't give you that nice holistic view of your entire database world. What we've got now is when you first go in, you're given a lot of information, and what we want you to do is see that at a big level, and you can drill in to the spots that you need to actually look at. So some of the things we've added in here is we can see the ability to filter down to certain servers, certain databases, certain collections inside of MongoDB, tables inside of SQL, or MySQL, Postgres, stuff like that. So if we look down here, we've got our different schemas. We've got servers, and we can see, we've got a MySQL server, and this is just due to the PMM monitoring itself, and then a MongoDB server. So if I click on that, this will go through, and everything that I'm showing is Mongo anyways. This is a small test server that's only running Mongo. But we can also go through and say, I just want to look at this single schema. So as we go through, it's going to update, build in. If you're not sure exactly what you want to look at, we also allow you now to type in, and you can filter in this text box here. You can filter down, and that'll just show you the information that you're looking for. So you get a lot of information off this, and as we go through and click on this, we can see it's collection stats, so it's not going to be that exciting. We give you an example of the query we run. We are, for those who've used PMM1, our current version of PMM, it gives a nice explain plan of what's going on, a little bit more information. As they rebuilt PMM2 in this beta, we don't have all that information that will be coming back in, so you're not going to lose any of that functionality that you were using if you were looking at the query analytics. So query analytics, like I say, gives you a lot of information. You don't have to run the explain in the Mongo shell and try to decipher what's out there. You can actually use the same tool that you're used to monitoring. So if we switch back over, the other thing that we've got is the alerting inside of here. And I'm not going to go full screen just due to the fact that we're going to switch back over to. So, you know, with a lot of these tools, if you can't alert on things, then you're having to sit there and watch it. And it's great for historical, but a lot of people want to see what's going on. You know, if I've got something come up, I want to be notified when that happens. And with PMM, we can actually do that with the Grafana alerting. We will be looking at adding the alert monitor from Prometheus so it gives you even more capability. But these are all simple things. We give you, what is it, a dozen and a half different channels that you can connect into. The big ones are Slack, email, webhooks. But you know, if there's a webhook for your alerting tool, you can actually connect PMM up to that, and you can go through, send out messages via HipChat, PagerDuty, anything like that. And I'll show you a live demo of setting up an alert. There are some gotchas inside of Grafana. So our dashboards that we build out are variable based, and the alerting, you can't work on that, but you can copy that panel and make an alert separate. And that's a, you know, a issue with Grafana, not necessarily PMM itself. So the last thing I want to talk about real quick with PMM2 is we've gone through, and if you've got a large number of databases that you're looking at, PMM1 was a little bit slow, it was a little bit sluggish. They've revamped that. It is a lot quicker to handle enterprise level database setups and stuff like that. As I showed you real quickly, you can filter, it's got custom label support. As you're setting it up, you can go through and label your machines as production, QA, test, stuff like that. And then you can actually just drill into those machines in PMM itself while you're looking at it. You can go through, our current version only gives you 3 columns that it shows. You can add a lot more information to get that, that data that you need out of there. And like I say, we're going to alert or add in the ability to alert via Prometheus, which gives you a little bit easier way of getting those informations out. So instead of swapping the machines right quick, I'm going to go ahead and do my demo. Did you have anything else? Okay. So, yeah. So, as Adamo showed you in the screenshots, you know, we've got, for MongoDB, we've got 7, 8 different dashboards that we've pre-built and ship with. And it's easy to go through and build off new dashboards. So I've got a couple, you know, Adamo is showing you trends. So what this dashboard here is showing you is my current day, my previous day, and a week ago. You know, what were my levels of queries, what were my levels of inserts, and gives you a real quick, you know, view of if you see a spike, is this a normal thing? And as Adamo showed on that one screen, what we've got is using the Grafana query language, it's real easy to build these out. You know, their documentation is real well. Oh. That's too big. So, you know, just using these queries, you can build out powerful dashboards and get the information that you want. Like I say, we're pulling the information out of server status. So anything that's in there, if we don't have it, we can add it in real quick into our exporters, and you can start getting that information. But you know, with this, I just wanted to show this is how easy and quick it is to build out a new panel, a new dashboard, and stuff like that. So if we want to go into alerting, and I'm going to pull this down a little bit further. On the left-hand side here, we've got this little alert icon. And if we click on it and tell it to create an alert, the things that we want to look at here is, you know, on this panel, I've got 3 different queries. So I would have to go through and state, of those queries, which one I wanted to actually alert on. So, you know, most likely you'd want to alert today because you don't care if it went above a week ago. But you tell it, you know, the query, and if it's above a certain number. And as you can see here, we put on that high watermark, you know, that alert line. And if I was to try to save this now, we would have issues because, like I say, that query back here is using these $host variables, And Grafana just doesn't handle that. So what I'd have to do is come back out here and copy this, and then create a new panel and paste a copy panel. And what Adamo is saying there is this is all JSON based, so you can actually go through, edit the JSON directly. And as I go through and edit this now, I will choose this host IP. And what you'd have to do is put in your actual host name. So IP 10.178 to 123. Thank you. Yep. And I'm just going to go through and delete these two. And so at that point in time, as you saw, I had that, whenever I had variables in there, I was getting that error. So the alerting, it's not as nice as it could be. Like I say, we're working on that. But you can go through and set that up. And, I can change this down now to 300. Change it to 450. It's too high. 400. And what we can see now is, at a quick glance, this is where my alerts are. It is dropped under that, but this bar now has a little health icon. It'll be green if it's healthy. It'll be red if it's in an alert. You'll also see a little border around the side flashing. And here again, it does take a few minutes for this to actually go into alerts. This isn't as soon as it crosses, it's a average over that 5-minute period and stuff like that. So if I go back and change my alert, in a few seconds, we should actually see that color change and let us know that we actually have an alert. I don't have email set up on this, so I can't actually send off an alert to show you what that actually looks like, but you'd get emailed or whatever your notification channel was, you'd get a message via that. So, the tooling around it is good. How many people are using Mongo's monitoring systems? With 4.0, they've got the nice little thing when you go into the shell and say, hey, sign up for our free monitoring, and it gives you like 5 items that it monitors, and it's Ops Manager. So yeah, Ops Manager has a lot more information. There again, with your profiling, all that profile information is going over to MongoDB. As Adamo stated, all the information here is staying local to your servers. You're not even sending information to us. We have no idea what's going on. So, Ops Manager is nice, but you've got to trust MongoDB with your information if you turn on that profiling information, and that profiling could have potentially. Okay, yeah, your Ops Manager hosting everything locally on your. So. Yeah. Yes, and I think Adamo stated, this is open source. It's available out on our GitHub repo. You guys can pull it down, use it. We don't charge for anything. Do you have a question there?
Yeah, this is at the host level, correct?
This is at the host level, so this individual machine that I'd pulled out.
Is this PMM also do collection levels?
Yeah, so if I go back in here, cancel, yeah, it's demo, so I don't care if it's saved. So at the collection level, what I've got here is a dashboard that I created when I first started playing around with PMM to figure out what capabilities it has. So what I'm seeing here, and I've only got a single database that I'm monitoring, so it's not all that exciting, but I've got 5 different collections. And what we're seeing here is up here, inside of this test database, 5 different collections. I'm tracking the number of documents per collection and the overall size of that collection at a collection level. We've also got down here storage indexes per collection. A lot of this doesn't make sense, but it's just saying what we actually had available in the stuff that we're returning. But yeah, we can definitely go down to a collection level. And if you really wanted to get creative and fancy with things, I've got
Like the query analytics, where you can see the number of operations for a specific namespace.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I say, with collection level stats, we're limited to whatever MongoDB themselves returns out, and that I just showed you was pretty much what we can get. The other thing that I've got, if you really wanted to, you can make different dashboards. And in this one here, what I'm doing is for this server, for all databases, all collections, what information we've got. We can change and say, I just want to look at the admin database. And as you go through, this collection is going to change based off the available collections in that database. And you can drill down and get information like that. Now, I haven't gone too far with this one. This is one that I just started playing around with, but you can definitely get collection level stats for what MongoDB themselves returns out as collection level stats, and that's not much anymore. But we've got the time locked, spent, updates, removes, and stuff like that. So you can get those collection or that stat.
And then one step further with a query analyzer,
Mm-hmm.
you can say and look at filter patterns by collection.
Yeah, so if we go back into query analytics,
You can type the name of the collection.
what's it?
You can type the name of the collection in search by.
Yeah. So if we, in the search by, we can do test 4 or test 2, and we can see all the queries that are going against that. So like I say, when you first go into query analytics, it's holistic, overall, and you can drill in further and further as you need to figure out. So, okay, and switch back over here. Oop. Get it? Yeah, so, we definitely want to thank our sponsors. Obviously, without our sponsors, we couldn't be up here talking about this. You guys wouldn't be here. Definitely rate the sessions, let us know where we can be better, how we can help you guys out, what you guys might need. So I know we've had a couple questions, but are there any other questions that anybody had? Yeah, hold on a second. Did you have a? So this here? So this is, from the profile collection. So you'd have to turn on System Profiler, and then we just pull that information out of there.
Because it's expensive to do in the production, what we have going on is like I don't have a parser for reading the scope query log, like the log
Mhm.
normally, and you set the scope query time to like 1 or 2 milliseconds, and then you parse the log to get the queries out of it.
Mhm.
That's what you would put.
So yeah, you could definitely do that. What we also recommend is set a low query and then set your
We have a threshold.
the threshold inside of PMM or PSMDB. We can say I only want 1 out of every 100 queries, or something like that. So there's different ways. I see what you're doing, but reading from the logs, unfortunately, we've had a pull based out of that profile collection. But you set the higher threshold, and that's lowers the overhead of the profiling.
MongoDB will have this one. So I was saying that MongoDB will have this threshold as well. So if you enable the profiler, and for some reason you are writing, I don't know, maybe 1,000 queries there, you can limit to only pick the first 20, for example, right? So it's expensive. I know, we know that. But this is the best way we could do that because we don't have access to our file system. The PMM admin doesn't access any file.
You don't have like a daemon running on each.
We have the daemon, but it doesn't have any access to the data files. I mean, it only can, it only touches the data that we are gathering from the from the database, but we don't read logs, we don't parse, we don't change the way the operation system is working, right? It's just a daemon collecting data, running DB server status on MongoDB. That's all our client does.
And one last thing is you wouldn't want a application that somebody else has written, reading your log files, stuff like that. You know, that definitely would be against best practices, and that's, you know, not where we want to go. So, any other questions? Yes?
Does it show any historical database growth rates?
Historical database what?
Yeah, database growth.
Bloat?
Growth rate. Like
Oh, growth. So, yeah, so if we go back over to, yeah, the collection, but we've got it, I believe, in, I mean, the custom-built one that I do has one. I'm pretty sure that,
We are storing the data, but we're not sure if we have the graphs.
yeah, it doesn't look like the defaults do, but, you know, that is definitely easy enough to go through and build with.
We can build what we don't have, I'm sure.
Yeah, so this one down here shows you that, you know, we can show that historical database size.
Yeah, it's important to mention that it's not the full view, right?
This one is, so this one is the overall storage size. So this is, yeah. So this is the storage size, you know, that you're actually writing out. But, yeah.
it only sends an alert, or it also gives recommendations? Any recommendations can we expect from the tool?
No, we only do the alerts if you build those out. So, and one thing that I just happened to realize as I dragged and highlighted, you know, originally I was showing like the last 5 minutes. When I drag and highlight, this is actually going to drill into a certain area. And as you switch back and forth between your graphs now, all of those graphs are going to be showing that same time zone, so, or time information. So, you know, we can look at that. We can go into our operating system stats and say, you know, was there something going on?
Oh, there's no.
Yeah, there's no information on that one. So as you go around and look, I may not,
There's no system monitoring.
yeah. So system monitoring wasn't turned on in this little one, but you can do that correlation between, you know, what my database was doing at the time, what my operating system was doing at the time to, you know, get that overall holistic view of your server.
So if I'm using SAN storage, I have the capability to go into the details which disk have a latency?
If you're using SAN storage, would you be able to get the operating system level stats like we were getting? You know, you should be able to, because that SAN storage, you're still building out mount points for your individual instances. So you would be able to get that for the individual instance, that LUN, you'd get information on that. So you'd be able to get that. Yes?
Sorry, does this do any backup?
So currently, you know, PMM stands for Percona Monitoring and Management. On the MongoDB side, it's Percona Monitoring. We don't have the management functionality there. You know, we are working on that, and, you know, hopefully, because you're looking, you know, at the ops manager, everything's built into that. You can one button click, upgrade, downgrade, do your backups and everything like that. And yeah, that's something that we do want to get to.
Do you have the Mongo Atlas hooks as well, or you don't have it yet?
Oh, there's no integration with Atlas.
No integration with Atlas currently, because, you know, we've got to be able to install that client agent on the machine.
You can get around it by doing like API calls to the Atlas, and then getting the data like that.
Yeah, you could. We don't offer that functionality yet, but that's definitely something we'll take back to our development team.
One centralized location.
Mm-hmm. So, Yes.
So I'm already using MongoDB Ops Manager.
Uh-huh.
So if I want to consider this tool, so how can it help me? Is there anything which I cannot do with Ops Manager? Can I do with this?
Well, that's what I was just talking to this lady about here is,
Not the backup and restore.
yeah, you know, we don't have the management functionalities, so you'd lose a lot going from Ops Manager to PMM. If you're just using Ops Manager for monitoring, we've got a lot more information showing, I believe. It's been a while since I've actually looked at Ops Manager, but you know, we've got a whole bunch more information that we're displaying to you. Yes, sir.
Can you build a dashboard like taking information from different hosts? Like
Yeah.
more than one?
Yes. So we've actually got, you know, built in here into our insights cross-server graphs. And like I say, it's not going to be all that interesting because I've only got a single server that I'm monitoring in here, but we could go to PMM demo. Okay. So we've got a demo server online that's got multiple hosts and stuff being monitored. And if we go into our insights, this is version 1 still. Yeah, like I say, version 2 was just announced as beta today. So as we see, you know, we're monitoring all hosts. If we hover over it, you know, we've got a collection or information on all the hosts for the different panels that we have created here. So you can definitely get that. Like I say, if you want to just look across your Mongos and queries and stuff like that, I've got sample dashboards that I can put up on GitHub to show you how, you know, the JSON that you can just import in. So cool. Any other questions? No? Okay, well, we've got a few minutes left. I appreciate your time. And, you know, if you guys got any good questions, do you want to come up and ask Adamo or myself individually, definitely feel free to come up. And thank you.